What's up, world? Okay, today I'm going to be discussing a brief history of the Palestinian and Israeli conflict. For those of you who are confused and don't really know what's going on, I don't blame you, due to the fact that the mainstream media, they always talk about the conflict going on, but they talk about it in the terms like, oh, we need peace in the Middle East, and this conflict has been going on forever, and like as if they don't know why it's going on. You know, they fail to inform the public why they're fighting. Like motherfuckers are just fighting like it's like a gang war or something. That's not the case. So I'm gonna give you a brief history on the Israeli and the Palestinian conflict. Now, first, in order to understand this conflict, we have to understand who are the two groups that are involved. The Palestinians are the people who were in the land of Palestine, which is now called, Israel. They were the native inhabitants of the land, aka the same people that were in the land when the Bible was written, when they were talking about the locals and stuff like that. Those are the same people that's always been there. Okay. Now there were Arab Arab raids and this and that throughout history. However, the Palestinians were native to the land. Now, the people claiming to be Israelis, these were European Jews, okay, that were in Europe. They weren't anywhere else. They were European people who converted to Judaism, okay? They converted to Judaism. So these are European people who converted to the religion of the Jews, the inhabitants of where this conflict is taking place, right? Israel, Palestine. Okay. Now, throughout Europe, these European Jews were being persecuted. Why? Not because they were European, obviously, but because of their religion, right? It wasn't Arabs that was persecuting them. It wasn't anybody else in the world that was persecuting them. It was their own fellow Europeans who were persecuting them for their religious beliefs. Okay? So these European Jews, as you know, were being persecuted, and they first started immigrating. They got it into their head that they were never going to be tolerated in European society, and the only choice that they had was to find a homeland for themselves. Okay? So in 1878, when the land that is in dispute right now was 96.8% Palestinian, you know what I'm saying? Muslim is a religion. It was the inhabitants of the land. It was about 462,000 people. 96.8% of them were Palestinian. Period. Okay? So from 1882 to 1914, approximately, there were 65,000 European Jews that immigrated to this land. Okay? No conflict. The people weren't raising hell, nothing. They immigrated to this land because they wanted to flee persecution from Europe and whatnot. 1922. About 757,000 people. Still 87.6% Palestinian. Now 11% Jewish, European Jew, aka Khazar. Damn it. From 1920 to 1931, you mind? 109,000 European Jews immigrated to Palestine. 1931, it was 81% Palestinian, 16.9% European Jews. Okay? So this flow of immigrants, European immigrants to Arab/Palestinian lands, that's how it started, because they were being persecuted in Europe already. Okay? Bow. And then you kick off from World War II and the rise of Hitler and whatnot. And really, Hitler had a lot of legitimate concerns for his own country. He was pushing his socialist movement and whatnot. But so when this kicked off, you had another 120,000 European Jews/Khazars who came into the land once more. They were just flooding these people's land. Okay, they didn't have a passport, they didn't have permission. You know what I'm saying? This was an agenda that was pushed by Britain, first of all, and then they passed the buck to the UN. So the United Nations was pushing this homeland in a place that wasn't even really their homeland. You know what I mean? So you got Britain and America continuing to push for a European Jewish state in the land of Palestinians. The UN wanted to divide the land into two states, a Palestinian state and a Jewish state. Okay? Now, mind you, all these recent immigrants flooding in, you know what I mean? They wanted to give 43% of the land to the Palestinians. It's their, so dividing up land that isn't even theirs and taking away land that isn't even theirs. They wanted to give 43% of the land to the Palestinians, irregardless that there was over 2/3 of the population was still Palestinian, and less than 1/3 was these immigrants, these European Jews. And they wanted to give these people who just got here, they wanted to give them 56% of the land, and they made up less than a third. And not only 56% of the land, but all the fertile land was going to go to these outsiders, and all the rest of these people weren't going to get shit. Obviously, the people were like, you know, this ain't going to happen, man. We don't care who you are, world government coming in. No, you're not going to take our land. Well, what did they do? They started to occupy it militarily. So they sent, I don't know, 60,000, you know, these Zionists. They started to occupy the country. Well, not occupy, kill, murder, slaughter. It was basically a racial genocide of the natural inhabitants of the land of Jesus. You know what I mean? It was a genocide. So they start killing unarmed people and chasing them out of their own land, you know, removing them from the land. And these are unarmed people, mind you. And then this is how they, you know, so to them, not even 56% of the land that wasn't even theirs wasn't good enough. Fuck it. They just took the rest of it through war. You know what I mean? So the Zionists immediately began the military occupation of Palestine and waged wars on the people of the Bible, the inhabitants. So now they obtained 78% of the land, and the Palestinians were refugees in their own land, creating a virtual open-air prison, basically a reservation on their own land, called Gaza and the West Bank. People, now this is to give you some real history about why it is the way it is. This was all supported by the newly formed UN world government. The Palestinians were then forbidden to return to their homes and their own land. However, any European Jew or Caucasian claiming the Jewish faith automatically, magically, and instantly became an Israeli citizen in 1948, with not having no ties to the land, not having to speak the language, never been there at all, never had any roots there, didn't have to speak Hebrew, so long as you were white and not Palestinian native to the land. And it's like that to this day. So basically you could be, let's say I was a white guy and I swear up and down that I'm Jewish and whatnot like that, I could be a Israeli citizen, you know what I'm saying? But if you were originally from there, the ones that they, you know, got rid of, no, you're not allowed. It's not allowed. So in other words, fucking McDonald's has been around longer than the current state of Israel. Just to give you, you know, the gist of what's really going on here. So I want to ask you, YouTube viewers, don't you think these people have the right to defend, you know, their land? Not only that, but the little reservations that they were left with, they don't even want to recognize them as that. Now the big conflict is because the Palestinians won't recognize the Israeli state. Why do you think they won't recognize the Israeli state? Because they know the fucking history. This shit didn't happen a million fucking years ago. This happened in in the 40s. You know what I'm talking about? These are immigrants. So the people that are claiming to be Jewish and Israeli, it's like the white people that took over South Africa. They may be South African nationality, but they're not black. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing. You know what I mean? Just because you occupy the place, you know, it's just like all the white people who slaughtered all the Native Americans, and every fucking white person that you meet always supposedly, I have Indian in me. That's just so they can just claim that, like, we slaughter you and then we're gonna take that from you too. Yeah, I got Cherokee. Every one of them has Cherokee in them. There wasn't enough natives to go around for all y'all to have Indian in you. I mean, take a DNA test and it's proven. You know what I'm saying? So that's really what's going on. And the fact that we as America financially support Israel, their weapons and whatnot, I mean, do your research, man. Don't take my word for it. Do your research on it. I might make a part 2 of this video, but I'm going to wait till I get comments, and then I'll respond to that. If you have any questions or comments, you know, I'll be happy to respond to them. So yeah, go ahead and subscribe, rate, and you know, I'd like to open this discussion. You know, I don't want it to be a narrow-minded discussion. I really want to have an open discussion about this. because it's of a real concern if World War III pops off over this situation. You know what I'm saying? But you got to understand that the military-industrial complex and the CFR, the Council on Foreign Relations, war is good for business. You know what I'm saying? I mean, when you broke, if I'm a broke dude and I have no means to feed myself, what better way than to go and take and steal from other people? You know what I'm saying? To rape and pillage other lands. I mean, it's a business, man, and you sell to both sides. You know, but who are the victims in this situation? You know what I'm saying? It's the Palestinians. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that the news media won't even mention why they're fighting. They just, they're fighting, and how people and churches rush to the defense of Israelis as if those people in the land are literally the people that they're reading about in the Bible. It's just not so. Not so. Okay? That's all there is to it. Subscribe, rate, comment. D-Boy signing out.